So the project bike, here are bits of the project bike. Here she is, boys and girls. Here's the new project bike. It's a Honda ST1100. I bought it off a mate of mine, and it's been 8 years since it was registered and ridden on the road. Yeah, there's a little bit to be done. Put a new battery in it. It turns over, which is positive. I've got to drain the fuel tank, put a new fuel filter on it, give an oil change, change out the final drive fluid down there. I've also got to drain out all of the brake / clutch fluid, do an oil change, I think I said that, new spark plugs, and it should just about be ready to ride. It's been sitting for a wee while, so the tyres are flat, and hopefully there aren't too many flat spots on the old tyres, otherwise I'm going to have to buy new tyres, which it is what it is. It's part of the reason I got the bike for what I got it for as far as price was concerned, is because there's a bit that needs to be done. And fortunately I have the tools and I have the know-how to give it a crack myself. So I'm just draining the fuel tank because I suppose by all accounts the fuel in there is yeah, nearly a decade old. So I poured it out and it was yellow. Yeah, fuel here in New Zealand is not yellow, it's got a pinky colour to it. So I've drained that out. I've given the tank a little bit of a clean. I've got a new fuel filter and some other parts over here. I've got to, what do I got here? That's for the brakes and clutch. That's for the final drive, because it's shaft driven. It's going to get an oil change, a new oil filter, and a new I'll just put you down for a sec, a new fuel filter. Now this is a genuine Honda fuel filter. Here's the old one. Okay, here's the new one. I might bust it open and have a look, but it's looking pretty black and horrible in there, so that's pretty well pooched. Genuine Honda fuel filter, $47. $47. And it's the only one in the country apparently, so lucky me. No wonder it's the only one in the country. No one wants to buy them at $47 each. But anyway, so what can I tell you about the bike? It's done 65,000 miles, and it is in miles because it was sold in England. So we've got in the white is miles per hour, and in the red is kilometres an hour. The odometer is in miles an hour. It's done 43,000 miles, which is about 65,000 kilometres, which is not a hell of a lot really, because I've heard stories of these bikes doing 300,000 kilometres. He's obviously attempted with aftermarket parts to try and bling it up a little bit with the gold screws. I personally hate anodized coloured screws. I think they look absolutely horrible. But I can see he was part of the Ulysses Club, which is a New Zealand motorcycle club for people over 50. So he's obviously part of that. The bike was initially green. Clearly it's not now. There's the tank cover. It's got a custom paint job. It's like a metallic charcoal. It's quite a nice colour. I can't wait till the bike is all back together, all back together and polished and washed. So where are we to from here? Well, we've got to flush all the brake fluids through, the clutch fluid. We've got to do that as well. This is an ABS bike, so I've got to, I assume, flushing the ABS system here is it's just like flushing normal brakes. I don't know, I guess I'm going to find out. but the fluid itself it's looking a little bit murky, but not too bad. I would have expected a little bit of moisture in there. It's not so bad, but I can't see any signs of rust on the frame, which is a really good thing. The paint is sort of bubbling a little bit on the head, on the valve cover there. I'm not too phased about. I've got to drain all the coolant as well. That's not a big job. Yeah, so just basically give it a really good service. Change the final drive fluid as well, and yeah, then I've got to take it to a vehicle testing station, and because it hasn't been registered or warranted in a long time, it's going to have to be basically registered as a brand new vehicle. Most of you folks know how to do the stuff I've done, which is I've drained the coolant, I've done an oil change. I don't know if I mentioned it last time. I have pulled the fuel tank out. This is the fuel tank, that's the airbox up there. Fuel tank out, flushed out all the old fuel, cleaned out the fuel pump. I replaced the fuel filter. So there's all the old coolant there, and it was gross. That's the control for the heated hand grips, and it was actually wired around the wrong way. So after a bit of tinkering, yeah, but she's going, which is bloody marvellous. I'm really happy. That's the light for the ABS and the traction control, which flashes because it's on the main stand, and the sensor can't read it. So yeah, that's where we're at. Put some air in the tyres, checked all the bulbs, all the switches, all the fuses, replaced all brand new fuses. For some reason the 20 amp pump motor, I don't know if you can read that, this 20 amp kept blowing. There's the spent fuses there on the ground. Kept blowing it, so I've chucked a 30 amp in there, which I know it's run the risk of burning out the motor, the pump motor, but it's clearly a bad earth or something somewhere, and I've just tidied up the connections and added a battery maintenance plug, so I can plug this in when I'm not using it. So yeah, we're getting there slowly. Oh, g'day team. Where are we? Day 3 on the bike. Things are looking a little bit disorganised for my liking in here. I think I'm going to have to do a bit of a clean up before we carry on. Today we are going to change the fluid in the final drive, which is that thing right there. We are going to change the ABS fluid, the rear brake, and it's got linked ABS, I do believe, and so I'm going to have to change the brake fluid there and there, and the clutch fluid, sorry, which is there, and we'll be bleeding it from that nipple there. So let's get this garage tidied up a little so we can move. Cool. So guys, this is my my brake bleeding contraption. It's an old jar with a hole punched in the top, a little bit of old brake fluid, and a clear hose. The hose isn't as clear as it used to be, but never mind. I'm going to remove the dust cover off the nipple. I'm going to place the hose on top of the bleed nipple. We're going to take the top off the reservoir and start putting in new fluid and pumping it through. So what I like to do, I'm going to try and do this one-handed, but suck out all of the old rubbish fluid first, as much of it as you possibly can, before we top it up. And begin the flushing process. Be very careful you don't get brake fluid on your paint, because it's rather corrosive. That nice fresh stuff. It's rather corrosive and it'll ruin your paint before you know it. So let's flush through the old stuff. It's a bit awkward, this bike. They've put the brake on the opposite, the caliper on the opposite side to the pedal. It's makes it a little harder to bleed on your own. Put the dust cap back on. You would have seen all that nasty fluid disappear. And now we're left with beautiful clear stuff. We're going to top that up to the upper level. A little bit higher than the upper level actually. Get rid of that. Now this bike, like the VTR, sorry about the camera work, has a hydraulic clutch. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so the first thing you want to do in this instance is make sure that the reservoir is level, okay, and that you can see the sight glass. Obviously if we turn the handlebars back the other way, it's going to be canted over like this one here, no good. So this is nice level. So we're loosen the top off this, suck out the old fluid again and dump that, and then pump through the new fluid. Now over time this degrades and you probably won't be able to see it, but it's got loogies inside it, it's got really cloudy bits. This degrades and it starts attracting water. Now because water is compressible and gives resistance and elasticity, you don't want water in here. Also too, once you get water in brake fluid, it also becomes more corrosive. So, like the other one, you're going to get as much of this horrible old shit out as possible. Okay. Oh. Okay. Gotta see this. You've gotta see this, is gross. Look what's on the end of my syringe. That is in the bottom of there. Look at that crud. Yuck. So we're going to have to clean that out. We don't want to be sucking that through the brake system. That's for damn sure. Let's do that. Alright, so I've cleaned that out. I'm just topping it up with fresh brake fluid now, all the way to the top of the reservoir. And we're going to suck that through like we did on the rear caliper. So that, my friends, is the rear brake and the clutch done. I'm going to top that fluid up. It's always handy to have a fluid which is not sort of like this clear brown crap that I'm using. And it's not crap, it's quite a good one. It's a race performance one. But it's easy to see on the indicator when it's a different colour. Radio team, we're here on the front brake, and this one is way cleaner. I can't see if there's any sludge in it yet, but we'll suck out the old fluid. As you can see, it's not as cloudy as the last lot. This is kind of a soup in here of coolant, oil and brake fluid. So suck out all this old fluid, be careful not to drop it. Luckily I've got no tank cover on here. It's quite amazing when I pulled the airbox cover off the air filter in there. the filter element is it's like an old donut off like a I don't know, an older carbureted car, big round thing. Of course, the risk you run when you do this on your own is you're going to let air bubbles, oh Jesus, back into the system. This doesn't even want to open. Might need a maloot. Let's give it a little itty bitty love tap. Get a hose on there. Let's sit you up a little higher, shall we? Get right in on the action there. Look at that. Right, now to do this one. Right boys, so where are we at? We've bled the brake, new battery, all new fuses, done some rewiring. Now the heated hand grips are wired the right way, that's good. I've installed made up my own battery tender, battery maintenance plug thingamajigger. We have drained, flushed, cleaned the fuel tank. We have put in a new fuel filter, $57 worth of fuel filter, awesome. New plugs, 4 of them, being a V4. We've flushed out the coolant, replaced all the coolant. We've flushed out the brake fluid. Looks like that one's a little bit on the low side. We'll just top that one up. Rightio, so time for the final drive. Or the diff, I suppose. It's about the right size there, I'm guessing. This is the sight hole. So the oil should not leak out of here. If it does, it means it's been overfilled. Okay, so it's not leaking out of there. Is it the same size one? Boom, look at that. Now this is the drain bung. Drain hole, bung hole, bung. TB for my bung hole. Oh, that's some gluggy, thick stuff there. I'm not sure what this is supposed to look like, but what this is supposed to smell like, but it smells like grease. I'm guessing it's not supposed to smell like grease. Don't know when the last time it was that this was changed. But I bought, it only is supposed to take 150 millilitres or cc's if you're a doctor. So I don't mind using a bit of the extra bit of this to flush it out, I guess. Let's get the old stuff moving out of there. So by all accounts, it's supposed to be quite easy to change this, and as much that you drain it out, put the filler back in, also the drain back in, and fill it up to the bottom of here. Let's get rid of this. This one's running pretty clear at the moment. And there's still a bit of crud coming out of there. We'll let that drain. We'll put the bolt back in and fill her up. The torque spec is about tight enough. Gotta be careful when you use a breaker bar like this. You don't crank on the end of it. Sort of half shaft it, gives you a better feel. Okay, it's starting to well up near the hole. It's probably going to drip in a minute, which means it's full enough. So look in there, shall we? Right, I think that's close enough to full. The old inspection cap back on. Well guys, it's taken me about probably 4 hours, a little bit of know-how, a few resources, a service manual, and we're complete. Got all the luggage on. It just needs a wash and a wax, but it's all together. It's all together and it runs. Clearly I haven't taken it on the road yet because I've only just finished it, but yeah, I've got a couple of pieces of fairing and for the life of me I don't know where they're from. I don't even know if they're off the bike. It's these two things here. I don't know where they go. They look like they want to sort of fit around somewhere doing something, I don't know, but could they be off Who knows? If you know what these are for, and you've got an ST1100, can you let me know? Cheers. The design there is not a sticker, it's actually hand painted in there. The guy who owned this beforehand had Irish wolfhounds, and the number plate, I don't know if you recall, had was Wolf 2. So obviously I've got to get a new warrant and registration, and yeah, it's got to go through compliance checks, so I can't wait to give it a wash anyway, a wash and a wax, and see it from, you know, further back. But yeah, we're looking for names for this. I'm thinking Black Beauty. That sounds a little bit too yeah, I don't know.